Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the saucer and the coffee cup. But before we do that, we're going to do some organising, because at the moment we've got everything in one collection. And the collection is kind of like a folder. So I'm going to create a new collection, and this one is going to be called donut. You'll see why this is important in a minute. Take this, shove it in there. Take the icing, drop it in there. Make sure you actually drop it in. And what else? I want the plate and the sprinkle. Okay, so it just means that you can turn off like whole collections of objects at the same time. I'm going to go to here, I'm going to create a new, this one is going to be table, and I'll take the cube, drop it in there, and the plane, and then I might as well rename them while I'm at it. Okay, and the next thing is just to go to here and turn this on, and this means that we can dictate which things render and which things don't. So I'm just going to turn off the rendering for sprinkle and the visual for it so we don't see it. Okay, so now we're ready to model the coffee cup. So the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this. So press D. And now in there you can see we've got the plate 1. I'm just going to drop that into the overall scene. Where did I put it? I think I put it in here, rather annoyingly. Okay, so there it is, and I'm going to create a new collection, and we'll call this coffee cup. And what I'll do is I'll drop, oh no, I need to name that coffee cup. And then this, we're going to name saucer. And this goes in here. And this one we kind of want to make about this big, I suppose, around that. And I'm just going to turn off the donut and the table. And the collection is where we're keeping all of our lights and cameras and stuff. And we'll call this scene. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go into edit mode, and I'm just going to take that center face, so just grab the face itself, scale it up a bit, press E and S, and then move it down, then E and S again, and there we go, kind of created the, and what I'm going to do is add an edge loop up the side here, just to tighten up that, and there we go, coffee saucer done. We just need to change the material because it's still got that material from the last plate, so just get rid of that. We'll create a new one and we'll call this ceramic. And we'll make this kind of shiny, and that's going to be our plate. Don't worry about these bits in the middle, they look a bit gnarly, but we're not going to see that at all on the render, so let's not bother about it. Okay, so now we're going to make the cup itself. And so I've got some ref here, I kind of like did a bit of research, and this is what we want the top to be like, and this is the coffee cup. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the coffee cup, and then we'll do the coffee itself. So I'm going to add a cylinder. So the thing is that we've got to change some of these, because what we want is we want like the edge here to be completely flat so that we can make the handle, and you can anything that's an even number basically, so we end up with this nice flat area, and what we want to do is kind of like extrude out of that. Yeah, so next thing we want to do is just kind of scale this to size, so it's obviously too big, and scale it. And what we want to do is we want to kind of make this bit at the bottom kind of fit into that bit, so that it's like the bottom of the coffee cup kind of thing. And it's going to sit in there, and then the top, if we go into here, we're just going to make the top go this way, and we'll just scale it up, so that's like don't rotate it, and we're going to end up with that kind of thing. That looks kind of okay. So that's going to be the top of our coffee cup, and I'm going to press X, and I'm going to delete the face. So now we've got like a hollow coffee cup, which is cool. And now we're going to build some bits along the side, and those are going to create like the sort of the round side of the coffee cup. And we also need to make sure that we leave some squares here for the handle. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So first off, I'm going to add a loop cut and just scale it to kind of create that kind of shape. I'm going to look at the front, it's going to be easier. And I'm going to put one here because I want to remember I want to leave that. I want to leave this kind of like little square here because that looks like a good square. And then create another one here. And then another one there. That's a good one for the bottom of my coffee cup. Great. Okay. And then this, if I go here, this and this are going to be really useful for creating the handle. So I've just got to remember that, okay? But make sure that when you're at the top, it's not this one. It's going to be more this one and this one because they're at the side. They need to be kind of on this axis because it's going to make life easier. But before I do this, I'm just going to add a solidify to this. So go to here, go to add modifier, add a solidify, and kind of, you choose, but I reckon around that looks good. And once you've done that, apply it. Because if we don't, then we're going to end up with like a hole in the middle when we're doing our extruding. Okay, right. If you can see, I've still got the ones in the middle selected, so deselect those, select this and select this, and these are going to be our kind of coffee handle. Sorry about the dogs, not mine. Right, so what we're going to use is this tool, Inset Faces. It will bring up this little yellow handle, and what we're going to do is just bring them in a bit to create that. And this is going to be useful later on. Then we're going to use extrude, but we're going to use this one, extrude along normals. So when we do this, it's going to create that kind of thing. Okay, so we're starting to build out our kind of cup handle. But what we want to do is we want to kind of look in this kind of direction, okay? And what we've got is, well, we create the cylinder in the wrong place, so let's move it. This is going to be our cup. Okay, what we want to do is we want to kind of like get this to curl around like that, and then we're going to sort of like patch them together when we get to the middle. And what we're going to do is look at the side. The side is going to be the easiest way to model this, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to go here, going to turn off the saucer, and I'm just going to press G to move it, and R to rotate it, G again. That's looking good. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, and then G, and then R. And what I'm doing is just sort of like trying to kind of make sure that these are just kind of starting to spin towards this one. Then I'm going to do extrude again, and then R. So it's kind of facing upwards. And then that's going to meet this one. Then I'm going to grab this, go to the side again. I'm going to move this in a little bit, and then press E to extrude, and then R to rotate, G, then E to extrude, R to rotate, G again to move it, and then, yeah, we're kind of, and that's sort of what we're ending up with. Okay, you can see that they don't match, but we can kind of figure that one out a bit later. So I'm just going to grab these and scale them a little bit. And then these ones are not big enough either, so scale those. And then, yeah, that's kind of all right. Right, so now what we're going to do is patch this together. So what we're going to do is take this, press X, delete the face. Here, press X and delete the face. So now what we got is this, like two sort of tubes coming out of here, like taps. And we're going to grab the edges here. I'm going to show you how to patch this together. So I'm going to grab that edge at the back, grab this one along the bottom, and then press F, and it will make a face. I'm going to grab this one here, press F, that will make a face. Grab this one, this one here, press F, makes a face, and then final one here and here, press F, and that will make a face. So now what we've got is we've got like a whole handle. We're going to stick on a subdivision, and you can see it's starting to look pretty good. Okay, I mean it's okay. I mean if you're not happy with it, just sort of grab some of these and you can move them around. Remember, try and stay in the side view, it will really help you, and then you can kind of get the thicknesses right. I mean, you can fiddle around with this all day, basically. I'm pressing Alt to just grab them all. I mean, that's looking all right. I mean, it's good enough. What we're going to do now is just put smooth on it, and you can see it's looking, it's looking all right. We're going to add the material, which is ceramic, and you can see that it's starting to look like a coffee cup. We might need to, like the bottom here is looking a bit kind of weird, so I'm going to add another loop in, just there. And then I'm going to add another one at the top, I think. There we go. So that's looking like a pretty decent coffee cup. Okay, we're good. Okay, next we're going to create the coffee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of turn off the, just turning that off. And what we want to do is kind of grab like this loop here. And I am going to duplicate that. So I'm going to press Control D. And then I am going to go mesh separate by selection. So there we go. Put this one, and we're going to call this coffee. And let's turn off the cup, and we'll turn this back on. In fact, we'll turn it on for the cup as well. Okay, so the coffee is basically not much at the moment. But what we're going to do is we're going to select all, press E and S. And now I'm just going to move it down a bit, and then E and S. Move it down a bit, and then E and S, and then F to fill it in the middle. And then we kind of created this sort of like weird little shade it smooth, and then add the subdivision. And now we've created this sort of weird like kind of disc thing. And that's going to sit in coffee, and we're just going to get rid of this, and we're going to create a new one, and we'll call this coffee, and then give it another color if you like. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to take a picture of literally a picture of some coffee, and stick it on there. So we take this, go to edit mode, select all, and then unwrap it. Okay, and then we can go to shading. UV editing actually, and at the moment, if we go to there, this doesn't have any on it, no image on it, so we're going to load up an image. So I'm going to go to image texture and open one, and I found one. I just hunted on the net for some coffee, and I found one like this. And what we can see is we got this, and if we look at that, you could see that what's happened is it's kind of put the picture of the coffee kind of there, which looks a bit odd. So I'm going to just scale it down to kind of go over the coffee. So I'm just pressing S and G here. And G. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, done. So coffee cup finished. And then we turn on the saucer, and there we go. We've got like the coffee cup and a coffee, and then we can turn everything else on. Okay. And the only problem that we've got is that all of these three objects are kind of in the same place. I'm just going to move them over. Oops. I'm just going to grab them one by one. Grab this. In fact, if you just grab the selection and select objects, you can do it that way, so it's a bit easier. As long as you're in object mode, not in. And so what I've done is I've kind of messed it up. So make sure in object mode, select all, and then you can move it if you are in object mode. Don't do what I did. Okay, so now I can turn everything else on, I can position it. Position it how you want. I'll just stick it there, that's kind of good enough. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to just set up a quick render. So go to layout. And this is what we're seeing. This is the view through the camera, which is not really ideal. And so if you press N, you'll get this little panel that comes up. And we're going to go to view and camera to view. So when we move it around, we can frame up what our camera is seeing. So we want to see sort of something like that. That looks good. And turn it off. And now when we move back, we can always snap back to our camera. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly make a background for this, so just go add mesh plane and just scale it, rotate it, I mean, so sort of like that. Make sure it's 90. Okay, and then scale it. That's good. And I'm going to give it a new material, and we'll just call this BG. I'm going to put an image in. Open. I'm just going to use this. That'll do. It's the wrong way around. Light a bit this way. Okay, and it looks like scaling is a bit odd. Yeah, it looks alright. So look through the camera, make sure it's all framed, and it's not quite. There we go. So that looks good. Okay. So now we're ready to render. But what I want to do first is just set up some lighting, because the lighting is looking a little bit bad. So if we look through here, this is what the scene looks like. It's a bit dead, so we're just going to sort of change the lighting a bit. So what we got is we've got a light somewhere here. Here it is. Just move this into position. And at the moment this is like a point light, which is not a particularly good light, because it's like an omni light, it goes everywhere. And so I'm just going to change this to a sun. And then I'm just going to rotate this into position. So I want it to be like morning light. So it's going to come from there, like it's coming through a window. If you want, you can create like a shadow. So you can kind of create like some kind of like nice kind of shadow effects on it. But again, if only if you could be bothered. I mean, it's pretty easy to do. I'll just do that quickly. I'm going to add a plane, shove it over. We're going to rotate it like this, and then just scale it. So to kind of create like almost like blinds or something like that could look interesting. And then, go to here, add an array, and we want to make it come down this way, and then just create a bunch of them. Okay, and so then when we look through the thing, you can see that we're going to get like some nice shadows that are created by this. Yep. Okay, the problem is that this is, and I'm just going to apply those because I don't want to kind of muck around with them too much. Okay, the problem with this is that it's too bright. If we look at it, it's like 1,000, which is like really bright. We need to make it like 5 because it's the sun, so it's going to be bright. So that kind of looks all right. Just going to look through here. I'm going to wait for it to render a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little bit yellow because it is, after all, sunshine. Okay, that's looking okay. It's going to take a while to render because I put in like these sort of shadow catcher things, so I'm just going to get rid of those. But if you want, you can create those totally. It'll be quicker without them. Okay, so that's looking good. I think this is just slightly out of shot. Okay, when you're happy with it, basically you just go render, and that's it. You go render image. It will take a while, and that's to do with render settings, and I'll kind of get onto those a little bit later. Okay, they will be they can make your render kind of like speed up massively, and that's to do with light paths and all that stuff. But once you're done, you go render image, and then that will bring up a window. And once you've finished rendering, and it will take a while, then you go to image, and then you can save it there. A couple of things that you might want to do are putting on denoising. Denoising will get rid of a lot of these little things called fireflies. And the other thing is maybe taking down this to like 4, because we haven't got any glass or anything in it, and so we don't really need it to be a massive render. And then once you're done, render it, save it, and that's it.